Hey everybody, it's Bill Slocum. And in this short little video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a web map using existing web services and also how to search for layers within the National Park Service ArcGIS Online for Organizations subscription. But first of all, some disclaimers. Neither the National Park Service nor NC State University endorses or recommends any commercial products, processes, or services. This material may not be used for advertising or product endorsement purposes. This material is intended for educational purposes only. Neither the U.S. government nor NC State University warrants or assumes any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any information, apparatus, product, or process disclosed. Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. Creating a web map in ArcGIS Online using existing web services and searching for layers to add as well. There are a lot of different ways where you can search for data, or a lot of locations where you can search for data. You can search for the data in your content or within the organization, the Park Service's organizational account. There are services available through ArcGIS Online, and you can also choose different base maps. Now, what's really important is as you're designing your map, save often, because you don't want a hiccup in the internet to disrupt what you're working on and have to start all over. So as you're working through, save early, save often. That's the best advice I can give you on creating your web maps. Now, again, how do you get to the organizational account? Well, you go to https://nps.maps.arcgis.com. And let's do that right now. You can see I'm here at the organizational account, and I'm going to go to my content. Now remember, my content is where I store all of my items within ArcGIS Online, and I keep things in a nice little folder. So I've got my how-to videos folder here. Well, I want to create a map, and I'm going to create a base map so that I can use it over and over and over again when I create maps for my audience. All right, so I could just come up here and say map. Let's just do that. That's one way to do it. And you can see here that you're brought into a map canvas. It focuses on the US over here. And I want to work on a base map for Colonial National Historical Park. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some data. Now you see this about, the content, and the legend here. Currently we only have the topographic layer, but I'm going to add some data, and I'm going to search. You have a lot of different options here, and I'm going to search for layers. You can search the Living Atlas, and that is data that is authoritative and hosted by Esri. You can search for layers on the web, or a layer from a file, or add map notes. I'll let you explore those on your own time because I want to focus on this searching for layers. Now, once I bring this dialog up, you'll notice that I also have another drop down here. I can search my content, my favorites, anything I have starred in my content. I can search my groups that I'm associated with, or the organization, and again, the Living Atlas, or just ArcGIS Online. Now, be careful when you search and add third-party data, because you do want to make sure it's authoritative. So you always go back to the source. Do you trust that source? That's very important. Well, I'm going to go to my content, and I'm going to search for Colonial. And I've used tags here, and I am going to use my kilometer markers because that is something that the park is very used to using, and I want everyone that I share this with to have those data. Now remember, I added these data, the kilometer markers, from a zipped shape file, and that's going to have implications I'll show you in just a moment. But I also want to put in some signs, and I've tagged all my data, so I'm going to say signs, S-I-G, signs demo. And that's going to bring up an interpretive sign data set that I have that's for demonstration purposes, and add those in as well. Now, those were added in when I published a map service from ArcGIS, ArcMap or ArcPro. And I'm done with adding data from my content, but I need a park boundary. I don't have a park boundary. Now, I have a park boundary here in my content, but let me show you how you can find data within the organization. Here, I've got Colonial. Let's take that out. Let's remove that tag. And now you're going to see that there's 10,000 plus layers here. Now, there are ways to search for data. This one was published in 2016, so that's probably a little outdated. So I'm going to type in land resources here, and I've typed it in so it's actually kept that selection for me in its memory. And you can see that down here, there is a check. Now, this is authoritative and it's recommended by your organization. You can also see that the Lands Division has updated another layer here, but that hasn't been set to be authoritative yet. But I do trust Roger Johnson. So just for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and add this. So I'm done adding data. I've got my kilometer markers for the parkway, which are used by the park. I've got my interpretive signs, which are always used by the park, and I've got my park boundary. So this is a base map that I could use over and over again to create more detailed maps, maybe something for natural resources or for facilities or for maintenance or something of that nature, but I would always have these 3 data layers. But you can notice that I have a lot. Now, when I added, let's turn the interpretive signs and the kilometer markers off. When I added the data from the Lands Resource Division, that one service had 3 layers in it. And you can see here that we have boundary centroids. Well, I don't want those. So I'm going to click on the ellipses and I'm going to remove that layer and say, yes, please. I also am not concerned about the tracks data because I just want the park boundary. So again, I'm going to remove that layer. Yes, please. Now you can see that I'll turn my interpretive signs back on and my colonial markers back on as well. I'm going to move this down. Well, it can be tricky, so sometimes it takes a little bit of effort. Well, always more than one way to take care of things. Now, I've got the layers drawn the way I want. I'm not going to do any more. That's a little beyond the scope of this video. But what I want you to realize is I have my data in, and it is in a web map. Now, I could go in and customize the title just by going in here and renaming that. I could do that, but I'll get to that at a later video. The point of this is I've added data from my content. I have also searched for layers within the organization. So I have my 3 layers for the base map. Now, talking about the base map, you do have the ability here to change base maps. Maybe you would like to have imagery or a hybrid imagery. So you can choose that base map and you can now see that the underlying base map is changed and it reflects the hybrid, which is the world imagery. So I actually have different markers in here, such as the interstate system and different road names and so on and so forth. It's a little difficult to see, so I'm just going to go back and choose. You have a whole lot to choose from. I'm just going to go back to the topographic. There we go. So now I've got my data in, I've chosen my correct base map. Now the next thing I want to do to create this is I want to save it. Currently it has just my map. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to call this Colonial National Historical Park base map. I'm not going to assign a category, but you could if you would choose to. Maybe we'll choose boundary. Okay. I'm going to put some tags in here. I've got colonial. I'm going to say base map there, and colonial National Historical Park. There we go. And a summary, I'm just going to choose the same as the title, but you should be more descriptive with your summary. And I'm going to save it in my how-to videos folder. Remember, I save my content in folders to help compartmentalize that and keep track of my projects. So that's all there is to it, to create a web map. And a web map is what we have right here. Let's go back to my content. And here you see I have my base map. Let's look at that in the item overview tab here. I need a description. Remember, you always need to fill in this metadata. So I'm going to just copy this right here and fill in my description. And I'm just going to type in that's the base map. Again, it displays the layers that I have, and they're using the layers that are in the table of contents. And I'm going to also edit this terms of use. I have searched for and discovered the National Park Service data distribution liability statement, copy that there, copy, and simply paste it into my terms of use. And save. Now you can see that my item information is going from low to high. And if I were to add a longer summary, I would increase the value of my item information here. So that's all you need to do. You create a new map. You search for the layers within your content or your organization, or maybe ArcGIS Online as a whole. Choose your base map that you would like to have in the background, be it a light gray canvas or the topographic map or even the imagery data or something from Park Tiles. Save your map and then come into the item detail page and add a description, a terms of use, and maybe an even a longer title here or summary up here. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot, and I hope you have a wonderful day.